Welcome to the Summer Success Series. My name is Nicole McLaren Campbell. I am the founder of AIM, and I am so excited that you are all here. As is on here at AIM, if you could just drop in the chat what city you are joining us from. It's always incredible how we're able to come together in this very powerful way. And as parents, I know that there might be some students here. Could you drop your city and tell us what grade your child is in? And then that's our little icebreaker, how we get to know each other. Nardia says Miami 7, cool. All right. Kingston, grade 11, cool. Kingston, grade 11 and grade 9, because you know we have more than one kid here. Nassau, Baham, that's where Jilly was from, Nassau. So Nassau, grade 10, Kingston, grade 9, grade 8, grade 9, perfect. I'm so happy to see so many grade 8, grade 9 parents here, grade 7, excellent. I mean, the earlier you get started, just with thinking this thing through, the better. Welcome to our grade 12s. I hope you get something from this session. Grade 9s, grade 7s, grade 11s, New York, Kingston, Fort Lauderdale, Montego Bay, Spanish Town, Ocho Rios. Welcome to everyone, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Nicole McLaren Campbell. As I said, a little bit about me. So I have 3 children. My stepdaughter, Ali, is in the red. She is 18 years old, class of 2024. She is headed to UWI Cave Hill for law school. Dominique is chairing extra because Dominique are through 1 entire year of SAT prep. She did the SAT 3 times, or was it 4? I don't remember. She had a massive score jump of over 400 points. And you might be wondering how come she ended up going to law school at UWI Cave Hill that doesn't even require the SAT. We'll talk about that. I'm sure you might have questions about that, and I'm really, really happy to share. So I said that to say that my experience with teenagers and growth and development and preparation, not just for college, but for life, is both on the personal side as well as the professional side, which was a very, very fun experience over the past few years. And we really started taking a concentrated effort with Ali and doing this sort of preparation when she was in 4th form, which is the US equivalent of grade 9. And so, I mean, that is why at AIM, you would notice that, or maybe you haven't noticed, but over the past year and a half, we've really started working with more younger and younger students. Starting in grade 8, we start formally working with kids because we understand now, you know, what it really means to start early and just take a incremental approach. I attended boarding school. I went to Princeton University. Well, I went to Andover, Phillips Academy, Andover, which is a boarding school in Massachusetts. And then Princeton University, I studied economics, did graduate school in London, where I studied globalization and development studies. Definitely thought I was going to work for the government or, you know, World Bank, something like that. I really just was very interested in helping people maximize their potential and helping them to uncover opportunities, etc. But a year into my job with the Ministry of Education, where I was a policy analyst in the assigned to the minister's office, who at the time was Andrew Holness, Minister of Education. After a year, I just did an interview as an alumni interviewer for Princeton University, and just realized that I wanted to help kids get into college, and it just felt like this thing in my belly, and it had nothing to do with any of the degrees that I had gotten. But it was really interesting, and I just felt sparked. I felt like I came alive when I was interviewing those kids, and I really wanted to help them, but I was working for Princeton, so that wasn't very possible. So the rest is history. And I decided to quit my job and start AIM with 2 students. Now onto my biological kids. I have a twin. Who is turning 13 in this June. She's a class of 2029. And she is starting formally with AIM this semester. So she's had a couple of interesting meetings, and we've been doing some informal work. And then my son is the class of 2031. He's about to be in first form, Jamaica's first form, the US grade 7. And he loves football. That's all he loves right now. And my little daughter loves anything performing, anything performance related. She's about that life. So as I said, I'm experienced from both ends of the spectrum here. I'm also a goal accelerator strategist, so I coach women, and it's been a very fun ride. With the last 2 years, my goal accelerator moms have become AIM moms. So it's really interesting from that side as well. So helping teenagers to grow and to become the best version of themselves is a real passion of mine. And it's something we've been doing for the past 14 years. And we'll continue to do. So speaking of growth and development, let's look at the focus areas. What are the 3 focus areas that we should be thinking about with our teens? We're looking at academic growth, of course. We want to nurture and develop their interests. Early intervention and supporting areas where they might be struggling before they make a fixed meaning or identity of it. So you know, a lot of parents might be experienced. And by the way, I didn't give you the ground rules here, but please feel free to chat in the chat. I love to see the reactions. If you agree, if you can relate, just to know I'm not alone as a mom. And I'll also be sharing, of course, things that we've learned from experience with our actual students as well. But the teenage years and especially the early teenage years, what the US would call middle school, and what we in Jamaica or in the Caribbean would say first to sort of third form, those are the middle school years. Those are really, really a great opportunity to help our kids to form their identity. They're trying on different things at this point. They're figuring out who they are. And the good news is nothing is fixed. So my daughter was struggling with math a couple of months ago. And I could see her beginning to form or create the story, I am not good at math. Can I get an amen in the chat, parents? You know, if you have a child that them and math don't agree, you know that it is a real uphill climb once they have this fear of math or have, you know, created fixed ideas about math. Dominique is smiling because she's a math major. I don't even know how I attract all these math majors. I just realized, aside, I said that this was the webinar I would not be giving random anecdotes on. However, at AIM, we end up employing a lot of our past students, which is amazing because they're the smartest, most amazing kids in the world, right? And they're not kids, no, they're adults. So Dominique is our head, most senior tutor at AIM. She's basically in charge of the SAT program from a tutoring training standpoint. Sebastian Levy, sorry, not Levy, that's one of our students. Sebastian Reed, who is a coach and tutor at AIM, also AIM graduate, also majored in math at NYU. And then TJ, who worked for us for a long time, math major, who now owns a very thriving and growing marketing company. So parents, we can talk about the fact that it's all about exploration, but even if they're going to college with a major, they might not come out studying. I mean, they might not come out working in that major, but as long as they have the core skills to be successful and they're able to think and so on and so forth, you don't need to worry. So anyway, back to the story about Lauren and the math. So I could see her forming this story that she's not good at math. And I literally was like, Nicole, it's time for action. So I was like, Lauren, that is not the case. Math is simply about practice. This is not about you, and it doesn't need to get emotional. She's very emotional. So anyway, I just went, I printed out a whole bunch of worksheets. I made her, got a tutor to just work with her. I think it was just like 2 sessions just to work through a specific issue. And then now we know that we're just practicing right through. And then she did like a whole bunch of the questions, me and her, until I just made her go off on her own and do them. She got an A on the next test and then started to loosen the attachment to this story that she's not good at math, because she had proved to herself that if she does a little extra work, even if it's confusing and hard at first, if she does a little extra work and she does the practice, these are things she can grasp. Very powerful lesson for her to learn at 12, because by 16, it would be too, you know what I mean? So if you do have younger children, we have to be very conscious and on top of this thing as parents, really, because again, we have the chance to help them to work through things before it becomes a fixed meaning or an identity. So that's the opportunity of these years in terms of academic growth. Nurture, develop strengths and interests. So for example, my son's verbal skills are extremely strong. And I know we don't have any moms of toddlers or pregnant moms in this room today. However, Dominique, you're not a mom yet, so let me just tell you, when you read to them very early, it really, and consistently, we used to do it every night before bed, it helps develop verbal skills a lot. And of course, I have to give credit to their teachers who are also really good. Anyway, the point is Joshua has really good verbal skills. And so I support that by encouraging him with them and just telling him, you know, your verbal skills are very strong. This is something you should look to develop. And then we work together on books that he actually enjoys, because, you know, again, they're growing up 11. It's like 11-year-old boy into football. Reading can become uncool. You know, it's all these ideas they're picking up. And, you know, back in the day, parents, we used to just, all we had to think about, or all my parents had to think about was, all right, I'm going to interact with some people at school. I come home, I could turn on the TV, but you know, at a certain time, it just get cut off and you're going to see the sign, come on. I'm not that old, but that's what used to happen back in the day. I had no options to be influenced by no whole heap of different things. Our kids are in a different world. They have access to information at the tip of their fingers. They're influenced by YouTube and TikTok and Snap, and no matter how you try as a parent, there are all of these influences that you can't control. So you really have to exert your influence even more. And so working with him on the books that he likes, talking to him about them, and now he's developed a routine that he told me about, which involves him reading before bed. So a lot of times I go in his room and he's asleep with the book like right beside his head. And it's so sweet, except my light bill because of the light, but I digress, and I am not digressing on this session. Okay, so just encourage, nurture, and have these conversations with your child. All right, what else? So we talked about academic growth. Second area, personal growth and skills building, very important, right? So with personal growth and skills building, where the teenage brain is in terms of development, there's a unique opportunity here. Let's keep it 100. Parents, we struggle with self-management ourselves. We struggle with productivity. We struggle with being distracted. But we are not native tech users. In other words, we can remember a time when it wasn't all of these distractions. They largely cannot. And so we have to really take a deliberate approach to helping support them. And where their brain development is great, because their brains are still growing. The areas responsible for decision making are not developed, which is a whole nother conversation. But they learn faster and quicker, and their brains are able to really just be very flexible at this point. And it's a really great time to build skills and habits that will stick with them for life. Everything from 25 after 25 is gonna be harder, because at that point the brain has, you know, largely finished growing in those key areas. So things like self-management, I come across and have had lots of kids. Even we had a productivity workshop a few weeks ago, and there are kids coming there with 4.0 GPAs, right? So it's not that they're not performing well at school, it's that what they do to perform well is not necessarily the healthiest way, and not a way that, you know, is good for their health or mental health. So, you know, you might pull the 4.0, but you pull all-nighters, or you procrastinate a lot. Everything is to the last minute, the disorganization. I as I said, I would be sharing things from a professional and personal standpoint. So while we see these high performers who struggle with these issues, we also see students who struggle to reach their potential and to perform according to what their potential is, because they struggle with things like test anxiety, and the organization as well, which is to the detriment of their grades, because it causes them to lose confidence and not be on top of their assignments, and then it becomes this vicious cycle where they start to lose more confidence, and then they're even less on top of things. And as parents, we kind of just watch it happen and try to encourage them, but sometimes feel lost as to how to help them get it together. With my own kids, as I said, the key with our big daughter was helping her to really understand that, look, you can do hard things, and to not be intimidated, and lock up when it gets hard. With my younger kids, they definitely struggle with and sleep. Big girl and sleep was just very challenging. And if they're not sleeping the right amount of hours, that really slows down their ability to learn and retain information. So they get very frustrated when I've been studying for an hour, I can't remember anything I've studied. I just read that page of the book. As soon as the page finished, they can't remember anything they've just read. It's a very frustrating experience for them. And they get turned off. And when they get turned off and get into this cycle of frustration, that's also difficult. With my younger kids, they struggle with organization. So I have had to be working with Lauren, Teen Success Planner. So we developed, I developed a Teen Success Planner that helps kids to just kind of organize themselves. That's a major skill that they need to learn from now, because even adults, we know, struggle with it. And it's such a major key. It might be a more major key than it ever has been, because there are more distractions than there ever have been in life. There is a lot happening. There's a lot of information coming at us every single day. And if we don't have a robust system to organize ourselves, things can get challenging. So the earlier you work with your child on organization and self-management, is the better. And you can support them, as I said, with things like planners and talking to them about their assignments, helping them to get everything done. You can always email us. We have coaching programs where we help students to get organized and boost their productivity. Mindset and thought management is a big deal for kids. I tell you, we had that session, and when we read the statistics on teen anxiety and stress, the kids said they thought the numbers were low. They thought the numbers were underrepresenting the true scope of what's happening. And those numbers were frightening. There was like 40% of teens reported experiencing extreme stress. And the kids said it's higher than that number because everybody they know is stressed at school. And so are they. And I'm like, okay. And of course, the stress leads to things like depression. And, again, I really believe in more than just get them into college, more than just, like, get this SAT score. Our kids need to be prepared to deal with life now and to deal with life in the future. And we don't even know what the future is going to be. The rate of change is so massive that the biggest skill they can also learn is how to manage change and how to, manage setbacks and resilience and that sort of thing. So again, I cannot emphasize how important a deliberate focus on personal growth and skills building is for teens now, emotional intelligence, etc. And we need to focus on those more than ever. The summer presents a unique opportunity to do some of those things because there's no school. That's why it's a unique opportunity, because it's almost like some of us. Well, I've certainly had students who are going to so many tutoring sessions and extra lessons. They have day school and then they have night school. I mean, I feel so sorry for them because it's intense. And then to think about adding on one more thing, it's a challenge. But the truth is, if you teach them the skills that help them to manage everything that's on their plate in a much more efficient manner, then it helps every single subject. So we tend to default invest in things like tutoring And I get it because the math grade needs to go up or the science grade needs to go up. I totally get that. But we also need to invest in building their skills of productivity and self-management, focus, all of those things. So they have healthy routines and they're able to manage what's on their plate and perform better overall. So as you can see, I'm very passionate about this area. All right. Career and purpose discovery is the third area. So we talked about academic growth. We talked about personal growth. Now career purpose discovery. The teen years are a great opportunity. Now, please do not get me wrong. I'm not one of those crazy consultants you read about that thinks, kid in, the 8th grade has to know their whole future and career. I think that's just ridiculous for anybody. Right now, I don't even know if I know my future. I mean, I'm being very serious that we're in the age now where things are so fluid, people shift careers. And I don't think it's ever been the case that what the thing you study in college needs to be the thing you do forevermore. 85% of kids who go into college change their major by the 2nd year. So even if they go in, even if they're talking like, I know what I'm gonna do, and it's this, it doesn't necessarily stay that way. I told you my story about my econ, globalization, development, college advising, and then I started Goal Accelerator where I coach women again, just because I wanted to help women to use systems to achieve their goals. Because I started doing vision boards and they worked for me, and then people started asking me how to do vision boards. Stumbled into it. Now my husband and I are entering the hospitality industry, right? We're about to open an eco resort. Now, again, does that really have anything to do with what I thought I would be doing when I was 22? Nothing, because we can't predict the future. And nowadays, we really cannot predict the future. So, but that said, all of that said, we cannot lose the opportunity to help our kids get to know themselves and their interests and explore possibilities. So that's what I believe the teenage years are really about. Exploring possibilities, furthering interest, deepening interest, discovering new interests, ruling things in or ruling things out is just as important as ruling things in. And so for me, as AIM consultant and helping teens to build out successful summers and lives, it's just about how can we figure out what you're interested in or what you might be interested in and align that with some of the opportunities that are out there, and give you the opportunity to really get a little deeper than just an idea in your mind. Or maybe you used to watch the show Suits on, I forget what channel come on, and lawyers look cool, and so you want to be a lawyer. Or you watch investigation discovery and know you want to do forensics, or or you see it looked good on TikTok. We want to go a little bit deeper than that, because sometimes kids get fixated on these ideas for so long that they exclude other possibilities. And then when you look, the original idea that they were fixated on is not even, it didn't even, when the minute they had a little more experience with it, they realized, oh no, like my Ali wanted to become a doctor for a very long time. And then she got exposed to some blood, and she hated blood so much, you guys, that she decided it was just not gonna be the doctor thing. Okay, but I know people who have put themselves through med school, whole med school, and then it's after, when they're practicing as doctors, they're like, I don't want to be a doctor at all. And okay, that's fine, let's switch careers, but wouldn't it be good to kind of know that before you go down that long road? So career purpose discovery is really useful at this point, and the summer is a premier opportunity for that. There's so many opportunities out there to understand career paths, explore them through internships, specialized programs. This summer, AIM has a pre-law bootcamp and a pre-med bootcamp right at UA Mona in the Faculty of Law and Medical Sciences, respectively, to give students that kind of exposure. And there are plenty of programs, and we can talk about them, because remember, part of this is going to be sharing with you what other kids have done. Dominique is on. You would recognize Dominique from the registration website where she was sharing about her summer experience. So she's live, she'll share about that. Tasia is on. I see Tasia. I didn't expect her because I thought that they had a another engagement, but Tasia is on. She had a really impactful summer and summers leading up to her admission to MIT, and where she's gonna continue. She's gonna, you know, something with, I don't even really understand fully, because I was never a great science student, you know, good enough. I got a 1 in physics, you know, a lot of work. But she's doing some cool STEM stuff, and she's here to talk about that too. And we have endless examples. So that's coming right up. In fact, Tasia, maybe you could go now because I don't want to keep you. Tasia, do you want to go ahead? First of all, I just want to say a massive thank you, Tasia, for being here with us this morning. Tasia is in the middle of her IB exams. I know, and she's gonna pretend like they're hard, but we know she have them locked. Tasia, can you tilt your screen a little bit so we can see your whole beautiful face? Thank you. A little bit about Tasia. And Tasia, you can definitely please introduce yourself and do not be bashful. She's one of a truly outstanding person, thinker, student. I met Tasia as a eager fifth former when she applied for a scholarship to the American International School of Kingston. She stood out to me immediately, and I gave her a scholarship to the Aim Higher Foundation, which is where we work with students pro bono and help them with everything leading up and, you know, through applying to college and so on and so forth. So Tasia is about to sit her international baccalaureate exams, which are, I think she's doing like 4 higher level standard. You do 3 higher level and she's doing 4. And she just faced very difficult decisions. Should she go to MIT, Stanford, or Harvard? They were all begging, pleading, and paying her to attend. And she just had to make these hard choices. So here she is. Thank you for joining us, Tasia.
Hello. I want to address a comment that was in the chat first about usually only 16 or 17-year-olds get summer jobs. The summer opportunity doesn't necessarily need to be a job. So like I did SPIES, which is a science summer camp thing in Barbados that kind of resembles the MITES program at MIT. So you get like college level courses with university professors for 5 weeks. And also I did robotics in the summer. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a summer job. Okay, so my experience with AIM College Counseling, I really can't thank them enough for the entire process, because college apps are very overwhelming. A lot of schools are looking for, I guess, different things in students, different personalities. You know, they have different, like, I guess, they have like different they have different things that they're looking for in students. And I'm just one person. I really can't like figure it out on my own, especially because I was really new to the entire college admissions process. So AIM really helped me in that way.
Tasia, thank you so much. I just wanted to cut you for a second, which will also give you a time to adjust your phone because somebody looks like they need you badly. I hope it's not an emergency. Could you go into a little more depth, or when you reach that part of the story maybe, and tell us a little bit more about the summer programs, because you know, of course, the parents are very eager to really like get behind it, understand what you did. And even if you could share, because actually when I Googled you, I saw some of the things you were doing from the 6th grade. And so if you could just, as you of course share your story, tell us about some of the things that you did during the summer, and yeah, as part of it, and the names of the programs. And I will answer any questions in the chat. So you don't need to worry about the chat. I don't want you to be multitasking because that's not good for the teenage brain or any brain. So
should I be focusing on just the ones I did this summer, or like?
No, you can just tell us your summers through your teen years. Yeah. The ones that stand out that you remember.
Okay, so summer of first form and second form, I did swimming because I was preparing for a regional competition in August, the Goodwill swim competition. So I really just swam, woke up, swam, ate, went back to the pool and swam some more. So my first 2 summers were very athletics focused. The summer after that, I started studying for CAPE exams. I know it's weird, but I did CAPE early. So yeah. And then I think the summer after that, I just took a break and just didn't do anything. I prepped for SATs. I did that. And then the past summer, which I think is the one that really contributed the most to my application, is I did SPICE, so the Student Program for Innovation in Science and Engineering. It's a program that models the MITES program at MIT, where they take students, have them live on campus at a university for 5 weeks, and then they do university level courses. So for SPICE, the campus is UW Cave Hill, and it lasts 5 weeks. It's very intense. I caught COVID, so that wasn't really great, but it was super fun. So it's university courses in calculus, biochemistry, physics, entrepreneurship, computer science, and electronics. And electronics one was really, really cool because I didn't do like EET or anything, so that was the first real introduction to that kind of stuff. So it's really good. I also did the first global challenge. I was also part of the first global challenge robotics team. So we had to work in the summer. That's really where most of the work gets done. So I was doing that while at SPICE. So I would do mostly the logistics work, like writing emails, asking for sponsorship, doing social media posts, writing up the engineering documentation, things like that. Oh, and then I also did this random program. I don't even like we ended up doing our classes with some grad student for biotechnology, and at the end of it, I wrote a mock research proposal on, I guess, how to figure out how you could find a computer hardware interface between humans and prosthetics, which is really cool. At the end of the summer, I was really tired. I was really tired. So, I mean, I guess I'd recommend that you definitely do something, but don't just burn out yourself because I was really tired when I started going back to school. Yeah, that's what I did this summer.
Super. All right. Okay, so and you were sharing a little bit about your college prep experience quickly.
Oh, yes. So
then you're released.
So right, I was saying that, well, I didn't know much about college process. I used to just think it was grades. I don't know. I just thought you get good grades, you fill in some form, and boom, you get into college. But apparently it's a lot more complicated than that. And to be fair, I wasn't entirely like ready for it, I'd say, but AIM definitely helps me to get ready. They knew all the things that I didn't know. They knew where to get scholarships. They knew like what the culture of schools were like. They have such a great like network with students who are currently at schools. So if I didn't, Harvard, I don't know. They'll just send me some contacts and I'll be able to reach out with a bunch of AIM alumni. So that was really cool. They helped me with 13 Common App essays and my Common App personal statement. Help, I mean, that's a lot.
You got to, that's a low number, but that's good. I'm glad it wasn't 40. I've had students having to write 40 essays.
No, I did the Canadian schools like last minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as you can hear that they do help with more if you fancy more. Oh, and they also helped me to kind of create a college list because they understand that it's not just about getting into Harvard, MIT, Stanford, but also getting into a school that's best fit for you. And you might get into these super prestigious schools and you don't enjoy your time. So it's not just about getting big names plastered over the paper and everything. It's really about finding somewhere where you can really enjoy the next 4 years of your life.
Right. And I'm happy that you ended up doing SPICE, and because I remember very clearly another little anecdote that you thought the deadline was like March 3rd, May. She thought deadline was May. I'm like, this time we in March. I'm like, girl, the deadline is in March. That was in 1 week. So that was fun.
And I did get essay help with that essay as well, which was really great.
All right, thank you so much. So I've shared the websites for some of the programs that Tasia mentioned that she did. Again, is about the fit based on your child. So you don't just lift like, oh, Tasia did that and no, she got into this school, so I'm gonna do that. No, it's very much based on the interests of the student. And when we talk about hook for college, which I know a lot of parents ask about, Tasia's hook was her academic spark and her intense like intellectual curiosity and engineering and STEM, and she's on the national robotics team, and they just won Polypa Awards in Singapore, and then they went somewhere else and won more things. And so the rule of thumb here is every child is different, right? And you work with the child that you have, work with the candidate that you have. That's what I would say as from a parent's perspective. And from a consultant's perspective, again, we're never trying to change a child into another child. It's like, what's the highest end of your range, and what do you feel you want to push yourself for? So even in Tasia making her college decision, she was really able to not just watch the name and, you know, or the prestige of the place, but to really look into each school and say, what's best for me? And I think that when you build personal skills like self-awareness and confidence, you're able to make better decisions as a teen and as a human. So thank you, Tasia, so much for sharing. You have been a delight.
Thank you. I just wanted to add one short thing.
Sure.
That AIM also really helps to kind of figure out what you like before
We're hiring her.
No, before actually like having a college list, we did so many like worksheets trying to figure out like what you do, like a big school or a small school, or do you like city life or suburban life, like all these things without actually thinking about a school name. So when you started like finding a college list, you'd be like, oh wait, what I like city, but Stanford's in suburbs, you know, things like that. So you actually are, instead of thinking about the school first, you think about the experience first, and like, I guess the academics. So you don't really get caught up into the, I guess, the prestige and everything. And
you don't
also
get blinded by the website and the PR and all of those things, because, you know, that's hard. They are working very hard, by the way, on their end to attract the best students in the world. So you have to look beyond that and think, is it the best for me? So thank you, Tasia, darling. Back to studying for you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you. All right, so I promised that I would make sure to share with you what you should be focusing on by grade, right? So this is Lauren and Chelsea. Chelsea is a real life coach at AIM, and Lauren is about to be a real life AIM student. And this is what they were looking at for mind mapping as she was exploring her interests. So at this age, it's really important to help them with mindfulness and emotional regulation, but that's not the subject of this webinar. But I want to put that out there, that's really important. Organization skills, we talked about healthy lifestyle habits. This is the chance for exploration. So encourage them and support their interests. We use what the DISC assessment. Is anybody familiar with DISK, the DISC assessment? We use that tool at AIM. It produces a 57-page report on your child that goes into so much depth that it also gives you parenting best practice tips based on your personality type and your child's personality type. So that, as a mom, game changer, because through the teenage years, as parents, we're looking to strengthen our relationship with our kids, but that's not always the easiest thing to do when there's conflict, because we're trying to get them to adopt certain behaviors and do certain things, and they're not doing them. And then it's just fear, yelling and shouting, and we bring the harmony, okay? And I know parents agree. So the DISC assessment is very powerful, because you might have a child that has no idea what they want to do, and they don't have any, and they're like, I don't have any interest. Everybody has interest, or I don't have any motivation. You're going to be motivated by the things that interest you. So it's about getting to know what those actual interests are. In grades 8 to 9, continue the work of organizational skills, exploring new interests, existing ones, entering competition, setting goals. I've been doing that with Lauren. She's been entering JCDC. Like I just, take whatever she's interested. She just won gold. I'm a proud mom. She is very into performing and dance, and she said she wants to go to Juilliard and all of these things. So I'm the facilitator. She even has Sunday rehearsals, which are no fun for mom. But again, we are facilitators of our children. That's our role as parents. So encourage and support, discuss, and the DISC assessment will give you a really great jump off point. So I'll share how you can do that as well. So when they're in 13 to 15, enhance, focus on productivity skills, you explore different study techniques, setting goals, monitoring progress, what works best for their learning style, helping them, with decision making. Again, their prefrontal cortex is under development, so we have to see with them. But then we also have to pull with our values and transmitting those, because we can't leave them to TikTok. Engage in these kind of discussions, and think about projects that they can take on, independent projects. Lauren just is learning how to cook, or has learned how to cook, and she's very excited about, building that skill. So that's great. Encourage participation in group activities, volunteer work. I sent out an email that was talking about how doing volunteer work with your child is such a great parenting opportunity, but it's a good opportunity for them as well. I strongly believe in that. So my husband is the Recycling Partners of Jamaica ambassador, and so we've taken the kids on like a recycling cleanup, and we need to do more of those. So that's even a goal, because as parents, we have to set our parenting goals. This is where you're making some decisions now. Do we send them to private boarding school? Do we keep them at the school they're at? Which high school to send them to? I see a parent is interested in the IB program for post CSEC. These are the kind of conversations that would need to be happening. And I'm happy, Alana, to share lots of information about that and about Aim Higher, all of that. Excited to do that once we get to the end. The high school path, as I said, purpose discovery and hook development is key here. And looking at their test taking skills, if they're at all looking at United States, because the SAT is back, baby. It's like becoming mandatory again at many schools. Schools are definitely using it, even when they say optional. And they're using it to award scholarships, and they're using it to make admissions decisions. And test taking for the SAT is a skill, and it is teachable and it is learnable, but it gets stressful if you're trying to last minute it, as Dominique would agree, right? And she'll share with us in a couple of minutes. And then grades 10 to 11 quickly, this is where you best have a strategic plan for college, like you better have one. And career preparation, I just sharing here, we have a pre-law and pre-med boot camp, as I said, this year, if they're interested in that at all. Advanced internships and programs in Hook, that's supposed to be Hook, so in their interest area. So like Tasia just talked about SPICE and the other program that she did, and leadership in school is very important as well. And again, more on the self-management, productivity, decision-making. This is when, they're having relationships and, boyfriend. I mean, might be before that, because this is 15. And let me tell you, it happens before then. Okay, so talking them through that, getting to know their friends. My house is the central. I love, come, can we have a play date? Yes, bring your friends. I want to get to know them. Come, let's talk. So this is that year. So just to say, we talked about a lot, but the three, a lot of with parenting is like, how do I get my child to adopt certain behaviors, or to change, or to have shift? And the three things I want to share that must happen is either an epiphany, a change in environment, so what and who surrounds them, and taking baby steps. So even though it might seem like all of this is overwhelming, it's really not. If you just take a step by step. If you use a system, nothing is overwhelming, right? And I'm a systems girl through and through. So that's why we have a template that we have created, and I sent it out via email. Can you just say yes in the chat if you saw the template? that was sent out. If you didn't, just click the link in the chat. I'm going to talk you through the template now, because I'm going to guide you through the template. We do not have the time, obviously, for you to complete the entire thing here. But this is a very valuable tool, because again, this just helps you to get it all laid out, and do a proper, almost like pre-planning analysis of your child and where they are and what are some of the ideas, the brainstorming, the things that they could explore and do, and all of that. So we talked about the personal growth and career direction. So there's a DISC assessment tool, which is part of our career map and strengths assessment at AIM. There might be another assessment that you have used for your older children that you might want to use. It does not matter, but using some assessment tools could be helpful. I also want to mention here that I did with my kids, I got them a psych, what's it called? Like an edu-psych assessment. And basically that really went into depth in terms of their learning style and some of the things that I needed to look out for, like struggling with executive functioning skills and so on. It just, we can take an assessment-based approach. It's not like we're going to label them or do everything that the report says. Information is power, that's all. It just gave me things to keep in mind, to look out for, to understand even before they happened, to not get annoyed and impatient and be like, why don't they just blah, blah, blah. Even the other day I was talking to my husband, I was like, remember 5 years ago, the EdPsych report did say, and it's just so important, parents. So please, EdPsych is a good idea to get to know your child a little bit better and see how you need to support them. Everybody have ADHD these days. Listen, somebody, I have ADHD. How can you not have ADHD? If you don't have ADHD, boy, God bless you. How can you not have ADHD? Right, in these times, listen, the people them get paid millions of dollars to like capture our attention, and then our attention span keeps getting shorter and shorter because these videos and the scrolling, and we're under attack. We have to fight back with the systems and the tools, right? And so ADHD support and management is a lot of the skills that we teach in our productivity coaching, and this especially helps kids who struggle with executive functioning, planning, organization skills, those kind of things. So we can help students with that as well. So identify the areas for personal growth for your child according to you. Now, if you do the DISC assessment, it will tell you the real areas for growth according to how your child answers certain questions, and it is remarkably accurate. Remarkably accurate. Parents like me and other parents agree. So, but you know your child, so also just identify those and then just start to work through some solutions, right? You don't have to do everything by yourself, parents. You can get help. We're here as a resource. If we can't help you, we can probably tell you who can or where to go and what to do. Academic excellence and intellectual curiosity. Now, every child is not gonna be, there's a scale of like interest and intensity when it comes to academics. But again, you're gonna help them to be the best them that they can be. So sometimes the kids are like, I don't like any subjects. I'm like, well, which one do you dislike least? And then we move from there, okay? Because it be like that. So, work through what their academic strengths are. I'm sharing the wrong screen. Sorry, somebody just reminded me. What their academic oops, I'm not trying to end the webinar. Why did that happen? Okay, so we're just going through. I'll bring it up on the screen even though everybody has it. So, right, so academic strengths, and then subjects of interest and how you can stimulate those. Are you gonna do what you can do during the summer? What you can do during the school year, all of those things. There are programs that are year-long as well. And then weaknesses, like what do they need help with? What are they struggling with? As I said, my kids right now, I'm focusing on their organization and their self-management and giving them more responsibilities and just, doing that thing. Resources needed, etc. And then career exploration and practical experience. So you can look at like what their interests are right now. And then again, these ideas. We also give you a free guide via email. So everybody should have gotten that. Just say yes if you got that, with some different ideas and options, right? So you have summer internships, there are summer programs, there are online things, there are independent projects. I'm gonna share, and Dominique is gonna talk about her independent project that she did when she was at Amor, and helped her to get a big fat full ride to University of Miami, which is now Harvard these days, because it is so hard to get into. I'm really getting old because I have watched the evolution of Howard University and University of Miami over the past 10 years, and it is really something else to witness. Anyway, practical experience is so useful for them. Step 4, building a hope for college admissions. Now, the beauty of building a hope for college admission, if that's what ends up needing to happen, is that when you start early and you're focusing on all these different things, that kind of takes care of itself, because you've built the groundwork, and now we just need to pull out and say, okay, that's what we're going to choose to like take over the top. Like, we're going to put the cherry on top of that. We're going to put some icing on that and make the college admissions officer say, oh my God, that's that kid who did that vegetable garden and then taught all the teenagers how to grow their own food sustainably. Yeah, we need to give them something so we can say, that's that kid who, fill in the blank. It can't just be, oh yeah, this is the smart, nice one. There are thousands of smart, nice ones. 4.0 GPA, 1600 SAT. That's not enough. So we need a way for them to stand out. And as I said in the guide, told you in the guide, it's about articulating that experience in a compelling application. I talked ad nauseum about the personal development and soft skills, and I can't say it enough, because as parents, we want to raise children that can build successful lives that feel fulfilling for them, where they find happiness and joy, and also get off the payroll and can build the life that they want for their life and their family. That's our goal. That can happen from many different universities, guys. It doesn't need to be the 5 that everybody fights to get into. I'm serious. Like, I'm being very serious. Just deal with your child on their own merit. This is not the opportunity for you to live vicariously through them. Or like I wasn't trying to realize my professional goals through Ali. I took Ali, like, let's just deal with you and what you want. I don't need you to go to this school so I can say, oh yeah, you're to this school. No, what is best for you and your interests and what you want. She didn't want to live in America at all. She's a US citizen. So it didn't make sense for her to do law in the US. So the ability for them to make their own decisions and feel confident about them, even make mistakes and recover, all of those things, personal development and soft skills, major key. And then, of course, the plan keeps being adjusted. None of this is fixed. Some things work, some things don't. Some things stick, some things don't. You know, you thought that gymnastics was going great, and then them come to you and say, them no want to do gymnastics no more. Don't lose your mind. It's okay. Again, this is a time for exploration, and there's always another option. But what you're not going to do is sit down on your device and create a world inside of your technology and not be living the real life outside of it. So that's our template, and you can super customize this, just fill in every single thing that you already know. And then we're going to talk about some examples, starting with Dominique, that can help you to know, get some more ideas about what this could mean for your child. So without further ado, Dominique, you are totally on the floor, girl.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to the webinar. So, I mean, I work here at AIM, but I'm not going to be speaking in my official capacity today. I'm going to be speaking as an AIM alumni. So going back, I think, as Nicole was saying, that your hook kind of figures itself out. And I didn't really know what my hook would have ended up being, but it turns out it was exactly as I was my entire life, in a way. So I started AIM very early. I started as soon as fifth form started. So I think in the September of fifth form, so that would be translating back would be 10th grade. I think I started in September. I went to AIM. No one else in my family has ever gone to school abroad. No one else has even thought of this idea or possibility. My parents had no idea what I was talking about. But I think that I had a seed in my brain, and sometimes I just kind of do things from the seed. And I think I learned that from my parents. They just kind of went, "Hey, this is what you want, then we're gonna support that decision." So we went to this initial consultation, and things kind of took off from there. But like I said, I started very early. So I had the opportunity to really develop the hook for them to really learn more about me. And I think my real hook was that I really like helping people. At the core of myself, that's where I am. So I thought that I was going to be a doctor. But even before I went to him, I thought I was going to be a doctor. And then I had an aunt that's a nurse, and I said, absolutely not. This is not for me at all. And then I did the SATs, and I never really did a lot of like extra lessons growing up, but the tutoring world kind of really spoke to me. I have 2 other aunts who are teachers, and I kind of really liked the environment of the outside classroom, but still helping you develop skills for the classroom. Loved it. So I think that kind of sparked a lot of my interest into teaching, which is probably why I work here now. But I think what at the core of it is that I really learned that I love helping people, and that was my summer project. So, like I said, all about dreaming big. I came to my college counselor and said, what if my summer project isn't going to a school doing Spice, because I didn't have the money for that. What if my summer project isn't going off abroad to a summer program or anything like that? But I have this idea where in Jamaica, or RADA, Rural Agricultural Development Agency, tells us that the best thing you can do is grow what you eat and eat what you grow. And I don't know if anyone else heard it on radio every single day, that song, that jingle that just kept saying it over and over and over again. And I'm like, okay, well, if I like start as an adult in my society, I don't think I can do that. I think my parents could do that because they have a house, they have a yard, they can, build a garden and grow what they eat. But I couldn't do that. And I didn't think that people in my age group or just leaving their parents' house could also do that. So I said, what if I could ask RADA and say, how do you propose that we do this, help our younger people to also be able to do what your jingle says? And fortunately, my mother had a friend of a friend of a friend who worked who worked at RADA. And they were like, what's your idea? How do you think we could help? And I had just learned in school, on an aside, my biology teacher said, you can grow plants in water. And I was like, crazy. I didn't even think you could grow plants in water. And so that's what we did. We hosted a containerized plant workshop where we taught, I believe it was about 20 young adults who I had absolutely no connection with. All I did was post a flyer, post it at UE, post it on Facebook websites, just walls and stuff like that. I had absolutely no idea who these people were. But it was an amazing experience, and I'm really happy my mother forced me to take pictures, because at that age I was like, oh my goodness, let's not take any pictures. But I'm really happy I have pictures of that relationship and what we were able to do. But it was very simple. It was 2 people from RADA brought a couple pieces of things. I stood up, I told the story of how I felt empowered to do this. And then it was about a 30-minute presentation, and then people got some hands-on building and stuff like that. They got some seeds, tomatoes, herbs, spices for their homes, and that was it. And I felt very, like I said, empowered by that experience, in the fact that I had a very small idea and it didn't take a lot. Again, I spent almost no money on this. And I think that that kind of sparked my idea into my goal is to help people. I may not have every resource possible, but I'm going to try and see what I can do out of the goal of helping people. So I think that kind of led me to where I am today.
And that is so powerful. You
Yeah.
see, so this is, I love this story, Dominique, because again, I know as parents, we're of course very concerned with scholarships and, you know, which college they're going to go to and all these different things. And the summer is a great opportunity to build out that hope, to stand out, to get those things. But let it not be missed that what Dominique's summer program, build your own project, self-initiated, did was sure that she could have an idea and bring it to reality, even with little resources. And then she also just got to know herself, so she figured out what she really actually enjoyed doing and wanted to do. So going into college now, it's a greater sense of clarity and self-awareness and knowledge of self, which I mean, let me tell you, self-awareness and knowledge of self is like such a major key to life. But, you know, like, thank you so much for sharing that, Doms. Really appreciate it. All right, perfect. Thank you. So now at this point, we're going to talk a little bit more about some other things that other kids have done and share with you and walk you through sort of what that has looked like. And I know that, and I have more examples to share as well. And I would just also ask that, please, if you have questions, just make sure to put them in the Q&A. Janelle and Sharika are both here, and they're here to answer your questions. They can also share, they're available via WhatsApp as well if you want to ask any super specific questions or get anything booked. I think they'll be available for another like 30 minutes on WhatsApp. So just drop your WhatsApps in the chat, please, and parents can go ahead and sort of look at that if they need to. So you would have seen these examples on our website when you registered for this session. So let me take you a little bit behind. Mira is a lovely young woman. She's now working at KPMG. And it's so great when you can, oh, Dominique, you didn't tell anybody what you do now. I'm sure folks are curious. What do you do now?
So I'm doing a PhD in quantitative economics.
Didn't hear that. Go ahead.
I'm doing a PhD in quantitative economics. Yes. So yeah, I think I found out that I really liked helping people from the jump. My entire college essay was about the fact that I would spend my afternoons, summers, weekends helping my nieces. I'm blessed to come from a very big family, and that's always what I love to do. And so just kind of continuing in that progression, my whole goal right now in life is building equity as much as I can. And so right now I'm working on my PhD, and hopefully that can catapult me into some further opportunities that I can do that.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so Mira, as I said, is at KPMG right now. She's an analyst. She went to Barnard College. She was a boarding school student, so she applied to university and worked with us online and applied to university from boarding school. It's really important if the student has, especially now, where affirmative action is not a part of the process anymore, it's very important if the student is being educated in the US but has Jamaican roots, ties, is Jamaican, that you allow that international piece and that heritage to really stand out, and quote unquote, I call it Jamaicanizing them as much as possible, because while they're not allowed to be considered on the whole on race at all, colleges can't even use the word diversity anymore. So I need to stop using that word, because they told me that they're not even allowed to write diversity in their notes in case they get like audited. And anyway, their sort of international background and experience that they bring to the table is valued and is given more points in the process. So we knew that we wanted to bring her home as opposed to doing a US summer program, which is some of what our Caribbean-based students do. So she's a squash player, or was a squash player. So we decided to help her to build out a summer camp for girls, introduced squash to them. It was a pro bono program. So, you know, this mixed community service with her existing interests. And we helped her to just write from everything from proposal to budget to getting sponsorship and partners and executing the project. Again, yes, it was a standout thing for her college app, but what Mira learned in terms of being able to bring an idea from idea to execution and to change lives while doing it, invaluable. And, you know, they can do that as teens, and that's so powerful. You don't have to wait. And then having that skill, we know having that skill as adults is very powerful. We know that many adults don't have that skill. And so there you go. Let's talk about Dominique. That's Dominique. We don't just talk about her because she already talked about herself. Christian is an engineer now, and he was very interested in automotive, the automotive area. So we helped him to land that internship with Mercedes-Benz. He was based in Jamaica, a Jamaican student. We've helped students like Chris Madu, who was based in the US, to land internships as well, because we leverage our networks both locally and overseas. So I go on LinkedIn and I look at everybody who went to Princeton and Andover and where they work, and then I message them, "Hi, this is your classmate. I see that you own a hedge fund. Do you want to mentor, like help my students?" So actually, true story. So Chris was interested in investment banking, so I hooked him up with a classmate of mine from boarding school who owns a hedge fund, who was able to really give him some really good advice and really share a lot with him. And then he landed a great job at Morgan Stanley, where he currently is. So he's doing well. Desmond, the great Desmond, also did the SPICE program and is now went to MIT undergrad and is at Stanford doing a PhD. And he's working with Ebola and disease. He's going to change the world very shortly. Katana did Yale Young Leaders program. And then we helped her to create an arts camp. Again, sometimes the STEM students need a little bit more dimension. So she was into arts, and I didn't manufacture the interest. She was naturally interested in that. I was like, so let's show them that, you know, it's not just about like the academic piece, but you want to serve and you have this creative element. So she did an arts camp for kids, and that worked out superbly. Let me tell you about some other kids. We had a student who was interested in sustainability, as well as she was interested in film as well as sustainability. And so what she ended up doing was going around interviewing farmers all over Jamaica about sustainable practices, and she turned it into a documentary. We've had students start YouTube channels, like Ali did one about cooking, teaching. It's called Ali's Canteen. Please go and look it up. And she actually also learned how to cook, which is an essential skill. And was sharing those on YouTube. I had another student who was super into a young woman, boarding school student, into politics, economics, development, and encourage her to do independent research. So independent research is really a good idea if your child has a deep academic interest. And so she did independent research through her boarding school, because they give a lot of opportunities for that. But even if your child isn't at a school that will support that, you know, there are ways for them to do that on their own, or with the support of like a PhD student like Dominique, things like that. And we also had her do an internship at Capri. Now, Capri is a local, it's a Jamaica-based think tank for the Caribbean on issues of on like governance and policy. So she was able to get that hands-on experience where she was able to apply some of the use what she learned in real life at Capri in her independent research project at school. Colleges want to know you can take it from like abstract theory into what's happening in the real world. And so that was very powerful. And then, I mean, I have so many examples, but I know that we're a little bit over time, so I'm wrapping up, I promise. You saw the examples of the sports camps and the different opportunities for low-income kids. I have a student who was a pre-med student. She ended up going to Brown University, and she did a whole STEM experience for girls to encourage girls to choose STEM. And she got sponsorship. She did labs with them, a whole thing, and it was amazing. Starting a business. I have students who are serious entrepreneurs making cash, and launching businesses during the summer and then keeping up the business during the school year. And that's very powerful. And then I always make sure they can make a donation to a cause, because I always think that's so important for kids to learn that this is not about them. We've had kids put together art exhibitions, okay? So they're really good with art, good artists, and they have all these different pieces. I'm like, why don't you stage an exhibition? And you would be surprised, like, had a student actually do that. People actually came. People bought her art. It was amazing. These are things that can happen. And then we have kids who, you know, do internships. As I said, like sometimes we have kids who have family businesses, and they will intern with their family business, or they do internship experiences to learn more about their careers, like we spoke about that already. So those are just some of the examples that we have had our kids, some of the examples of the things that our kids have done. I hope that it has sort of stirred your creative juices. Dominique says she just got a research idea. So she's here not as a parent with a student or as a student, but she here learning, because you see, once you actually devote real time to thinking about the possibilities, you realize just how endless they are. You just have to get creative, and sometimes you need a little help, and sometimes you need somebody to facilitate that brainstorming, and that's why we are here. I shared Janelle and Sharika's number with you, so you can go ahead and contact them. What can you do at AIM? So we have a program that's called AIM Early, and this is going to be for students who are in grades 8 to 10, grades 8 to 9, sorry. Actually, we do take 10th graders during the first half, and then they become like college advising students in March of 10th grade. So 8 to 10. Purpose development, this is a whole consulting program. So they meet with a coach every single month, and we do things like potential discovery, purpose development, career coaching, helping them to craft their profiles. We recommend projects for them to do year-round and during the summer. You know, independent projects that show initiative, we call it like a capstone project. Skills development, help them to improve their performance or their self-management productivity. So we identify what they need and then support them through that, and then access to our PSAT prep class. So that's AIM Early. But what I would recommend, if you have other, if you're not sure, because we have many programs at AIM. Of course, we have college advising. We have for 11 to 12. We have the AIM Early program for 8 to 10. We have the summer pre-law, pre-med boot camps, which are 1-week commitments, pretty easy to decide if you want to do them or not. But if you want to figure out, like, what about for my child? Then I would invite you to do a discovery call. So a discovery call is a free 15-minute call with one of our coaches, where you can just basically tell us what your goals are and what you're interested in, and then we can tell you what your next step at AIM should be. And that's totally free, and it's 15 minutes. Or if you know you're ready to just dive right in, like you want a consultation, like give me a plan, then you can book an initial consultation with us, and that will take you through the main drivers in the admissions process, and what kinds of things you can be doing now, action plan according to the main drivers, you know, to help get your kids ready. I already gave you the link to the career assessment. But again, you can always book a discovery call or WhatsApp Sharika or Janelle right now, and they can give you the bestest guidance. All right, let me get to questions quickly. My 5th form son is in boarding school. He's currently working with his college counselor, and it's part of his classes. Fantastic. We are actually we are the college counselors for the American International School of Kingston. So we understand completely how institutional college counseling operates. We've always worked with boarding school students and lots of private school students who have their own college counselors. So what do we do as counselors with kids who already have counselors? Is that we work for the family, right? So your college counselor at school works for the school, naturally. And we work for the family. So we are often, so we work very much in the background, by the way. So the mechanics of this is that you're in our program with us, as many boarding school students are. Like most boarding school students have private consultants, even if you don't know that that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing. And so we work very much in the background. We doing all the things that we do. And the counselors at the high schools love our kids because they're always the most organized, the most thoroughly like prepared. They have thought through every kind of scenario. We give the students a college list and work through it with them. And they go to the college counselor like, these are the schools I've been thinking about. And, you know, inevitably the college counselor like usually agrees. What I will say is we are less conservative, and we push students to apply for rich schools, and we believe in the strength of the strategies that we're building with them. So sometimes schools tend to be a bit more conservative with college lists because, you know, a lot of boarding schools, let's face it, they already have their picks for who they're sending to Harvard and who they're sending to X, Y, and Z school. I know that was my experience at Andover, and I have a lot of students whose parents come to AIM because they're like, listen, I don't want my kid put in a box, and I want somebody who I know is advocating for them and really interested in their individual possibility and not just the results of the whole class. And so we also work a lot on financial aid and scholarships and that kind of thing. And boarding school counselors, that's not necessarily their priority because the majority of kids that they see don't normally need a lot of financial aid or scholarships. So that's where we come in. And as I said, we work very much behind the scenes and, you know, help students to execute everything. And then the college counselors love them and write them glowing recommendations. So, so yeah, that's how it works. It works very much. It makes everything easier. There's no, you know, conflict. All right. How do you apply for the AIM early program? So you can have a discovery call, which I've shared the link for. And can we drop the discovery call link in the chat perchance? And you can totally just have a discovery call. And then once we agree that you're a fit for the program, because we always just want to make sure you're a fit for the program. We're very passionate about that. Then we'll send you the agreement and you read through it and then you can sign on. The AIM early program is $2,500 for 12 months, for a year. So you can definitely go ahead and sign on that. So I have a question here about the boot camp. They are open. Listen, there's no joy like seeing those applications come in. We definitely created that program because I was so tired of there being no option in the Caribbean, and our kids having to go to the US if they were interested in learning more about med or law. But law is different in the Caribbean. And I was like, that's unfortunate that we have to keep, you know, why don't we build some of these things for our kids? And it's much cheaper and for them, and it's more accessible. And so we built this program. Every time an app comes in, I feel so excited. The only challenge is we have only 20 spots. So you have to definitely get this application in ASAP. So I've shared the links. Someone asked about the scholarship program for AIM. We have a scholarship program where we help low-income students to go to our programs. We have financial aid for our pre-law and pre-med boot camps. The power of helping students to change a whole generation in their family is very, 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 very exciting for me and for us here at AIM. So for AIM Higher, you have to have an outstanding academic and extracurricular record and endorsement from your school. So we need recommendations from your school, and your combined parent income has to be under, I think, 50,000 US a year, but don't quote me on that. I think that's what it is. And so, but forget what I said about the figure. There's an income cutoff. So your parents have to make under a certain amount, and then that's where you get into that program. All right, so let's see if there are any more questions. What AIM program would be best for fifth form? I think the best program for a fifth former would be the college advising program. That's the AIM college advising program. So, and by the way, when you sign up for the AIM college advising program, platinum, for which we have about 5 more spaces for the class of 2026, you also get SAT prep free. So that's really exciting. But yes, for a fifth former who wants to go to university in the United States, Canada, or the UK, I would recommend the AIM College Advising Program. We're also introducing a program for students who will apply to local and regional schools in the Caribbean. So that's very exciting. So that's the University Pathway Program. So that would also be a fit. Potentially, but I think the person who's asking this question is definitely looking at US colleges. So I would say the AIM College Advising Program. We can, I know a little bit about this person and she's a Goal Accelerator mom. I love Goal Accelerator moms. I know them so well already. I'm like, okay, I know what for you. So the College Advising Program would be the best fit. And so thank you so much. Okay, Alana has a question about the AISK IB program and Hillel IB program, the scholarships. You can send us a quick email. We would be happy to help you on the AISK side, but you'd have to reach out to Hillel for help on the Hillel side. But you can send an email to admissions@aisk.com and they can send you all the details. I am part of the committee that interviews scholarships students for AISK because, of course, we run college counseling at AISK. So I can tell you, again, outstanding extracurricular, outstanding academics, and, we do an interview of parents and students as part of the process. Financial need, of course, to get the scholarship. PSAT, you do a practice PSAT test because we need to see where you are with standardized testing as well. So those are the basic requirements, but email admissions@aisk.com. and they can certainly help you with your next steps. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for staying on here with me early on a Saturday morning. I hope you had your coffee. I hope you learned a lot. And if you, again, you don't have to do this alone. I know that being a parent these days can feel overwhelming because there are so many different options and we're emotionally attached to this situation. I mean, we're very emotionally attached and vested in the outcome. And sometimes, pulling one way affects the parent-student relationship and might not give the best results because also, we're great as parents. We're not trained educational advisors, all of us, but I am. But again, and even so, I was not Alice College counselor or tutor in anything. I'm not going to be Lauren or Joshua's college advisor or tutor in anything because I want to preserve that parent-child relationship. And I want an expert on the case who is not going to be as emotionally vested as I am. So even I use the experts at AIM with my own kids. So I hope that you see us as your resource in these teenage years to help you just navigate. And this is not just from academic, get them into college perspective, but this is from a holistic development, productivity, focus, and performance amplification, as well as, of course, the college advising, the test prep, the tutoring, all of that here. And of course, I'm a big fan of, making sure we equip our teens with the planning and productivity and focus skills, especially in this ADHD dominated environment. So that's also something we work successfully with kids with doing. Flipping the switch in their brains and helping them to become more internally motivated, which is what really needs to happen because as parents, we can't police them every single day. So thank you. Please get to work. Oh, we have a discount code. We have a discount code for the initial consultation. Ooh, sorry. Hope nobody booked it and paid the full amount of money. Because we're celebrating our class of 2024 right now, we have a discount on our initial consultation. And this is the website. The discount code is, I know they're like sending for Nicole to send out. They're like, she's just talking and she's not telling the people the discount code. All right, here we go. That's the discount code. Here it is. So you can go ahead and book an initial. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you so much. Restate the cost of the college advising program. So the AIM early, which is early college advising, is $2,500 a year. And the college advising program, which is what we call when the student is in grades 11 and up, or midway through grade 10, is $3,000 a year. So so it's 2,500 and then 3,000. And then and then we have the, is that all? That was the only question. So I think I've shared everything else. Thank you for sharing. My family and I were well pleased. That really brings joy to my heart, because it does bring a lot, because it just does. I'm so thrilled that this was useful. Again, the more educated and intentional as parents we get, is the better it is for our kids. We have to be very intentional stewarding them through these teenage years, because what a ride. What a ride. Janelle, Sharika, thank you so much for your support this morning, managing this webinar and being available to parents and students who want to get going right now. I encourage you to just take action. Getting started as early as possible is something that you will never, ever, ever regret as a parent. I'm relieved that we got started early with Ali. I said I will not be sorting out everybody picnic and make my picnic be late. So I really encourage your parents. I know we all struggle with procrastination, but this is the last thing you want to procrastinate on. Get an expert on the case, get some support, or use the resources that are available to you and your networks, and get going. And I hope the template was helpful. Take the time to do it. You won't regret it. And when you bring that template to the initial consultation or send to us, it will make our meetings that much better. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, and good evening. No, morning. Oh, bye. Thank you.